I got this last year. I don't even remember when I got it. All I remember is that I got it last year and I have still not watched it. However many months I've had it from the DVD side of Netflix. Guru the Mad Monk. Set in 1480, this gothic horror film stars Neil Flanagan as Father Guru, a schizophrenic prison colony chaplain who exploits his power to the max. With his church running low on funds, Guru entangles a young couple in a plot to ambush travelers and sell their cadavers to a neighboring medical college. Helping the Mad Monk are his vamp mistress, Jacqueline Webb, and a one-eyed hunchback named, what else? Igor, Jack Spencer, 1970. And it's only 57 minutes long. I cannot take 57 minutes out of my life to watch this. Well, I'm going to watch it now. Finally. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's really not a whole lot out there that I watch anymore. I only got this because there's this fellow in England. He's an author. His name is John Llewellyn Probst, and he does reviews of movies that have come out on Blu-ray and DVD over there in England, and this was one of them. And he seemed to like it. I've sort of taken his recommendations. Some of them have been good, some of them not so good, but at least he seems to like them. And this was one of the movies he seemed to like, so I put it in my DVD queue, and I got it, and I have not watched it all these months. We're now in March of 2023, and I still haven't watched it. Well, I'm going to take care of this right now. It's only 57 minutes. We'll see what happens. 57 minutes later, more or less. Well, that's 57 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. But I definitely have spent worse time on worse things. It was no cinematic masterpiece, I'll tell you that, but it wasn't the worst thing I've seen either. They did have like a little special feature. They had an interview with a guy that used to work with the director, and he talked about what it was like working with him, and it was definitely no non-existent budget, so he pretty much had to do everything he could do, and he pretty much did everything himself because he was the only one who seemed to know what he was doing. But this particular movie, it's supposed to be set in 1480, yet it clearly wasn't. They shot around this church somewhere on Staten Island, I think. I looked it up, and this very clearly wasn't 1480, because there's scenes in the church, and they just hung drapes and shreds of fabric around, and you could still see the modern plumbing, and they shot scenes outside, exterior shots, and you could hear the traffic. But usually I'm able to understand what a movie is trying to do. I can understand what they were going for, even though they weren't really good at going for it, if you know what I mean. It had its charms. There was no nudity in it. I mean, there was gore, but you could tell it was fake. When it's seen they chopped this guy's hands off and there's no blood, you could obviously tell it was a mannequin. So finally watched it. Now I can send it back to them and they can send me the last movie in my queue. And after that we'll see. I was on their lowest subscription service, and I still am, even after they got rid of it. The new lowest subscription service is like this one I have is only like 2 movies a month for like $5, I think. Now they changed it. Now it's 2 movies a month, but it's a little, maybe like a couple dollars higher. But since I was still on this subscription plan when they changed things, they'll still honor it as long as I keep it open. So if I like cancel it or put it on hold, I won't be able to go back to it once I start, if I decide to start it up again. I'd have to get on the newer one, which is a couple dollars more. But I just don't watch things like I used to. I just don't. It's hard for me to find things to be interested enough to watch them, and a lot of times I'm just not motivated. I mean, like this, I got this months ago, last year as a matter of fact, and I finally watched it after all this time. It's taken me this long to watch a stupid 57-minute movie. 57 minutes. Not even an hour. But I finally watched it, and it was what it was. So now I could finally send it back to them. They're probably wondering what the heck happened to it. But it wasn't great, but I've seen worse. If they decide to give Sven Tuny a 3rd season, it would be perfect for him. I could see him showing this. He always shows like the little condensed versions of these bad movies. That's another thing I don't, I would watch Sven Tuny. After that, everything else was up for grabs. I'd be falling asleep. A lot of people don't seem to like him, but I don't hate him. I wouldn't mind seeing him stick around, really. They started showing Batman again. But it's only like just the one episode. They don't. He used to be on for an hour. They would show the whole 2-part episode. Now he's just down to 1 episode. But we shall see what we shall see.